Oh my God!
Hi, everybody. That was pretty scary, right? Yeah. Welcome to
We're off to the races.
the scariest season of the year. That's right, folks. It's the election season.
Truly.
That's why it's good. It's because it's scary because everything's bad. It's it's a good one for you, election dorks out there. Keeping it real. Hi, Ray. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, honestly. I'm doing pretty well. It is spooky season. I think
And you know what that means.
It's time to talk.
What does that
SCP
mean, Ray?
means secure, contain, and protect stories. You dressing
That's
up
right.
this year for Halloween, real quick?
What's that this year?
You and the family, you guys doing a costume?
This is actually very funny because I just got an update on this today.
Okay.
It kind of been doing like the I'm the parent, I'm good kind of thing. It's not like going to Halloween parties,
Yeah.
at least not grown up ones, because busy.
Yeah.
And kids. I got the update today that the girls in our house get to be cats, get to be black cats, spooky
Okay.
cats, as it is commonly referred to. I get to be a door. My daughter just looked me dead in the eye and said, "Hey, you should be a door for Halloween."
Damn. All right.
I think
Okay.
I'm offended, but I kind of see it, like, because there's
I
cats
see the-
and cats go through the door, like cats go. It's part of the costume.
You're like, I see the vision.
I see the vision, and it's very funny, and I'm mad about being like. She's like, "Yeah, you look like a door. You should be a door for Halloween."
Damn.
It's like, I don't need to be absolutely ethered by a 3-year-old, but okay, that's what happened. So there you go.
That's fun. That's funny.
Just real, I see the
gonna-
vision, and that just makes it even
yeah.
funnier. This is
Yeah,
really good.
she's like, obviously, like, your cat Ripley always going through doors. See it all the time.
Transitional, Cats can walk from one plane to another, and from your the comfort of your own home to the outdoor where there's no scoops at all.
It's true.
That's right.
The
Which is
feral
why
contract.
we need to secure, contain, and protect Foundation, our lovely cats, and other indoor animals.
I am sure there are a couple SCP cats. None come to mind immediately, but I'm sure there's at least 5. I think I told you this probably like 7-8 months ago, Mike, that it used to be like before I went to bed, I listened or watched or read at least 3 SCP stories, because they legitimately are fun writing prompts, and they do kind of like poke at the edges of like, when you get done watching Twin Peaks season 3, you're like, I need to cool down from that. And I'm just gonna watch some fun ghost stories or read some fun ghost stories, basically. If you haven't watched Twin Peaks season 3, I guess you should.
Watch
if you
1
only
and
watch
2 of the
season 1.
movie for.
Yeah, you have to watch 1 and 2, then you have to watch Firewalk with Me. I apologize in advance. There's nothing about Firewalk with
It's
Me.
a good movie, but you're gonna have a bad time.
I'm not positive it's a good movie. I think it is.
I am
good,
positive. So
I think
who
it's a
could
good
say,
artistic film. I think it is good art. Does that mean it is a movie the general population should watch? No.
Good art doesn't always mean a good time, but
That's true.
That's, why
That's what I mean. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
I'm looking for more than slop here. You
You got.
deserve more than that.
They can't all be Top Gun Maverick, right?
Well, Top Gun Maverick is probably good. It worked.
I'm not. I say that lovingly. I like that movie. I had a good ass time watching.
That's a great.
Movie.
It's so good. Seeing it in IMAX was legitimately life changing.
If you don't walk away from that movie saying, "Why don't we have more F-18 Super Hornets?" It's like, good news. We have a ton of them.
Next gen fighters.
They keep saying next gen fighter, and that did make me like roll my eyes super hard. Like, just say the plane. Just say that, whatever. I get it. Most people would not know it was like an Su-59 or whatever, something like that. Um. Anyways, we should talk about spooky stories and
We
not
sure should.
combat airframes. So who wants to go first? Mike, I got like 3 of them. How many you got?
I've got 2, so I think that'll work out perfectly.
Okay,
Why don't
cool.
you go first, and I'll go.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
Sprinkle in the middle here.
I got a Euclid. Okay, I'm gonna start off where like there are different object classifications for those of you kind of new to the podcast. There are just different object classifications of SCP. Euclid is like, hey, this is dangerous, but it's avoidable, and we can get the public to kind of ignore this. But the containment procedures are probably like not possible, or possible in that we have to convince the public the area where this SCP exists doesn't exist.
Interesting. Okay. Also, just going to go out on a limb here. If this is your first episode, I'm going to apologize for that intro. If this is not your first episode, you can deal with it. Continue, Ray.
So SCP-052. This is a New York subway train. Now, it looks like a regular New York subway train until you get on it. It is specifically encountered at the 59th Street ABCD station. And to contain it, it's to be closed from the public at all times when the train normally stops, which is from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. It's one of the midnight trains in the MTA. Now, let's say you are a regular person. You're a New Yorker. You get down. You had a lot of drinks, okay? You just want to take the train, get on home, get back to your apartment, get back to Uptown in the Bronx. And you hop on this train. Everything seems fine. Everything seems copacetic, but a weird smell will start emitting from the train. After a couple minutes, you're like, oh, that's kind of odd, but it's New York. There's a weird smell on the MTA. That's just life. Moving on. I'll go ahead and get a slice when I get off, or whatever the hell.
Knicks, Nets, Jets, Mets, baby. Yeah.
It's all about the Mets. It's all about the Mets. You will notice that
go Mets.
The smell starts to get stronger, and you will also notice that something will start happening. Passengers that were sitting down might stand up and they might start yelling. They say they're uncomfortable. They might say their skin is itching. They're not sure what's going on. You also happen to notice the train hasn't made a stop in about 10 minutes. That's weird. It's the MTA. There's a stop every 5-10 minutes. What's going on here? We're not taking the long way. We're not taking the way all the way up to the to Brooklyn. Finally, you start noticing that there's a weird liquid that starts filling the floor, a sticky liquid. You start lifting your foot. You're like, what's the hell is going on here with this train? You know what? I'm getting off at the next stop. This is too weird. You wait for the next stop to come. It doesn't happen. You're like, all right, screw this. I'm leaping out the train. Let's say you get that desperate. You're like, third rail or not, I gotta get out of here. You try to open. The door won't budge. No one can open the door. You see the walls around you inside the train car. They start to morph. You can't hop from train to train. Nothing is happening. All the doors are closed. All the windows start coalescing. And something in one of the windows makes an orifice squelching sound as if it blinked at you. The train is emitting a liquid onto you. That itching starts to become a burning. Green liquid starts dripping from the walls. The train is digesting you. And you're in a one-way stop. And there's nothing you can do to get out of it.
Okay, that's good that you specified that it's like digestive fluid, because I'm like, well, trains leak liquid on people all the time. That's, I saw that TikTok of somebody catching the subway water into that little petri dish thing. I saw them do that.
Not the subway water. That's anything and everything.
All of humanity. Yes.
Sorry. Continue. So, the Foundation contained this train by basically convincing the public that you cannot get on trains at this stop at this time. Sometimes the Foundation will commit a sacrifice to let people onto the train. And they're typically D-class people, or they're typically people that accidentally get on it, because the train is a metamorphic, large, worm-like creature that changes itself to just look like an MTA subway train. And it will take its passengers and go on about its way. But you never know. So the agency, the SCP Foundation, has to work extra hard to constantly make sure that that specific train is being monitored at all times and that no one ever enters it. Every time they send a task force team to enter it, they have a tendency to not come back. It's like entering the stomach of any creature. It's kind of hard to get out once you're already in the stomach, you know what I'm saying? If you enter the stomach of Shai Hulud, you're probably not getting out. That's what I'm trying to say. And yeah, that's SCP-052. Just a New York subway train that eats people.
This is I've got a good meta SCP I want to do. I want to do SCP scrambling in the hours before a government shutdown over like something incredibly dumb. Over midterms, not even like a presidential election or cycle or something. And they're like, oh my God, the government's going to shut down. Oh God, we have 5 hours. Go.
Which number is this, or is this just an absolute Mike meta?
Spitballing. I'm just like, that'd be a funny idea of just like being the person who works at the SCP Foundation, trying to figure out, we're essential, right?
Yeah, we're essential employees.
It's like, are we? I mean, no one knows we exist, but they know that kind of implies essential, right? Mm-hmm. And they're like, no, not necessarily. What?
I think it's kind of like the U.S. military, where like the government can shut down, but the spigot for like if you're in an active combat scenario, that didn't turn off. It might get delayed, but that did not turn off.
Right. I just think that's a funny idea.
Yeah.
I'll have to add that to the board.
You should. You might want to think about like adding a submission. Everyone always has submissions.
Or I just feel like it could lead to some good hijinks. Okay, well, I again, considering the spooky content of this podcast and the spooky season in which we find ourselves, in many ways, it's as spooky as the month before and the month after. It's, things are real spooky out there. I thought I would find, and just as a kind of departure from some of the ones I've covered in the past, I thought I found some funny ones.
Okay.
I thought these would be some good ones to share because things are pretty spooky in the SCP world, and kind of like I just mentioned here, I think it's fun to like poke at some of the humorous things that you run into, like some of the workplace comedy aspects of some of this stuff, just because it's fun to see it. So
the goofy SCPs are fun to be clear. Yeah.
This one is the Cimmerian Cactus Proposal. It's SCP-001-J. And I just think the description is really funny here. SCP-001-J is under no circumstances to be allowed access to monetary gifts of any kind. Staff must relinquish all currency on their person before engaging in any interaction with 001-J. The containment of 001-J does not appear to be at this time attainable by the Foundation. However, due to SCP-001-J's apparent apprehension involving creditors, it may be possible to effect containment through such entities. SCP-001-J is an omniscient, omnipotent, omnitemporal entity named Michael Caine, who is the primary deity worshipped by a group of religious zealots calling themselves the Church of the Broke God. SCP-001-J wields a great and terrible cosmic power while possessing a distinct and crippling lack of adequate financial planning skills.
That's pretty good.
001-J requires a significant influx of cash money in order to pay, in his own words, the water bill, child support payments, bread, and some of those little hot dogs because protein is a must if you're just barely making ends meet. However, any amount of money given to 001-J by any individual for any reason will somehow mysteriously disappear. Despite 001J's insistence, it was not spent on booze or cigs. 001J was discovered by 05-1 on a business trip to New York during an event later described as 001J as "that time you totally contained me," unquote. Where 051 stopped 001J from stealing a bagel by shouting, "Hey, don't steal that." Ever since 051 offered to pay for the bagel and gave him a few bucks for a cab, 001J has left no fewer than 17,000 voicemails on 051's phone, typically asking for money or in some cases talking at length about unrelated events before eventually asking for money. Then there's a bunch of other voicemails that you can listen to. In this one.
That's really 17,000 voice.
Adam, my man, what's happening? Haven't heard back from you yet, but definitely still trying to string together a few pennies, pay off some bills, get that sort of thing taken care of. Really, 200 might be a stretch, right? Because we really only met that one time. I know this seems pretty forward, and I get that. I do. So I'm thinking, really, if I could come up with like $100, that would really get me settled. One foot in front of the other, trying to make a change. I know you get me. Thanks again, my man. And I think what really does it for me is this. I'm gonna paste this image into our call here. There's a photograph of this SCP. SCP-01J evading creditors in a 1990 Toyota Corolla by fleeing into space. The automobile has since been repossessed. I mean, poverty is poverty and homelessness is a lot of ways the exhaustion of not only our financial resources but our resources of our friends and family, right?
Yeah.
That's when that really happens, is when enough people have really just given up on helping you. And that's the sad part of it, right?
I want to say that whoever wrote this SCP was in a place, and I use that in quotes.
Yeah, there's a lot to maybe unpack there.
Yeah. The 1990 Corolla in the exosphere of the planet is sending me.
It's this really great imagery, because it's like, that's exactly what this person would, I guess, maybe it's just me, but like, it's probably not great that they will literally never stop asking for things. But like, hey man, maybe it's worth it to pay $1 to have this guy, I feel like I would continue to give him some money. Maybe I'm a sucker, but I think
I think that's what makes him.
I don't know.
I think that's what makes him a 01 class, which is like, you could give him like as much money, but it will be gone, and he will find a way to like black hole that money,
right.
Even pretend he's being on the level. He's like, no, I didn't actually spend it on cigarettes and alcohol and such. I just have this weird containment field around me.
It's just the kind of thing SCP just has to budget this as like entertainment. Let's know. It's like how you go to the casino. If you go to the casino expecting to profit, go to the casino expecting to profit, right? Unless you know what you're doing, it's not really gonna work out. But if you're like, I'm going to spend $200 because that's a night out, then you're good, right?
Yeah.
And I just think that's the approach they need to take here, because the power of an entity to leave 17,000 voicemails, I think, I don't know. I want to stay on their good side, right? That's just me. So I thought this one was just a good fun one that made me laugh.
I'm gonna add the picture.
The image is just really sending me, because it's just
I will add that to the video version of this podcast, because it's great.
So love that. So
1990 Toyota Corolla. Okay, all right, that's a good one. I got a less goofy one.
They got the Corolla parked next to like the Unabomber shed that the FBI has still.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's real.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, that's real.
Okay, I didn't.
A surprise.
Today I learned. So, the other SCP I want to talk about is SCP 3700. It's kind of one of those good written story SCPs. It's about two sea creatures that are constantly locked in mortal combat with each other. And the SCP has to, the Foundation, SCP Foundation, by the way, it's Object Class Heimel. If I'm not mistaken, Heimel is necessary for the world to progress, I think. And you can't contain it, you just have to help it sometimes. It's a weird one. So, these two sea creatures are constantly locked in immortal battle. And what the Foundation does is they constantly make sure that SCP-37001 always wins. If SCP-3700-2 wins, it causes catastrophic weather events. They're two giant sea creatures. SCP-3700-1 is like this lobster-type creature, while SCP-3700-2 is kind of like this large-mouthed eel. But these are kaiju-like creatures, and they deploy the equivalent of a naval task force to make sure that the lobster-type creature actually wins the battle. Because you don't want the other one to win because it can cause a lot of weather events, it causes tsunamis, it basically is like bad crops. There's a very large story, I'm not going to go through the entire thing, on many SCP websites about how they get into fight. It's basically written like a naval military combat story. It's kind of a fun read, and there's a couple different videos about it. But it's all about helping SCP-3700-1, the giant lobster-looking one, win the fight against this other sea creature. I think it's fun. I think it's entertaining. There's a lot of lasers involved in this fight. There's a lot of kaiju yelling and roaring, and it takes out half of the naval fleet. The bad guy one, the -2 one, takes out half of the naval fleet. And it occurs every single time in the same location in the ocean between the Feor, Shetland, and Orkney Island every 5 years. So every 5 years, there's a naval task force that has to go out and watch a kaiju battle happen, much like a Godzilla kaiju battle, and help basically Godzilla, who is a lobster, win.
Hey, there we go.
That's the one that I wanted to cover for my second one. I think it's really, really fun and cute. Speaking of fun SCPs, I will warn, my last one isn't fun. My last one is always pretty.
You always got to end with like the one.
Yeah.
I think it's appropriate.
I need you to go next, though. What's your
perfect.
next one?
So I have another -J one here. So
another joke. All right, hell yeah, let's go.
This one is. I think this one has some real. This is definitely one. I think is worth. Maybe we can put these links in the description, because this one is worth. I think really shines when you read the page because of what is crossed out and what is not, and the description of this thing. That just is really funny, and I think speaks to a
Keter class. All right,
it speaks to the letting the intrusive thoughts win, because, and you'll see why in a second.
I'm reading it right now. This is good.
The location of Site 00, where this where 001J as well, different 001Js here, must remain an absolute secret. To this end, Site 00 will be guarded entirely by automated defense systems and have no living staff whatsoever. The SCP itself will be kept locked in a cube made entirely from tungsten carbide, which is itself inside another cube made of tungsten carbide, which will in turn be placed at the bottom of a 3-kilometer-long elevator shaft. Multiple Molly-Gars have been carefully placed over SCP-001J, and the robots on Site 00 will be prepared to replace these guards if needed. Description. And this text is crossed out. SCP is a big, red, shiny, strangely appealing button that just begs to be pushed. The button, I will call it from now on, is a self-destruct mechanism that the Foundation scientists believe is powerful enough to destroy reality itself, consisting of a circular red button set into a metal case. Crossed out text, it looks like candy. The mechanism by which the button operates is not understood. Crossed out, but it would be awesome to find out. The button induces a mild psychic compulsion upon all beings who see it or hear it described to try to push it. Crossed out, you know you want to. The button was first discovered by President in an elevator car. At that time, the button looked exactly as it does now, except for the addition of a sticky note that said, "If you push this button, you'll destroy everything." The president managed to fight his compulsion to press the button long enough to remove the button from the elevator and lock it in the closet of his office. Afterward, he contacted the founder and charged him with creating a special organization with the specific goal of preventing the button from being pressed either by careless accident or by deliberate malice, and also with the goal of protecting humanity from monsters and stuff. Agree.
I love SCP origin story type ones.
Yeah.
I like how this origin story is like, dear God, no one should hit this button. By the way, keep monsters at bay.
The founder agreed and took the button and hid it under a pile of old socks in his basement. The founder spent the remainder of his life sitting on his porch using a shotgun to fend off miscreants on his lawn who were suspected of being the button sympathizers, which is a great use of that word. The millions of dollars he made on the stock exchange were used to create a trust fund that was the basis of our foundation. Since Redacted died and the foundation was set up to replace him, there have been redacted attempts to press the button. Before Site-00 was relocated to Antarctica, data expunged, there were many near breaches of containment when the Foundation personnel attempted to press the button to, quote, see what would happen, unquote. They had to be terminated. There have also been numerous attempts by the Foundation's enemies to retrieve the button, particularly the Order of the Sacred Button Pushers, which to stop at nothing to capture and press the button. Addendum 1. I, for one, think it's absurd that we still know so little of this SCP, even though we owe the creation of our organization to it, and allow petty fears of existential annihilation to prevent us from studying the button. I propose a simple test. Using a remote-controlled drone, we will gently tap the outer surface of the button. If my calculations are correct, only a tiny portion of everything will be destroyed, and the probability that we will be a part of this is astronomically small.
I love that.
Denied. Report to Psych Ward immediately.
A drone to tap the surface.
I love how it's just specifically not using the word press, because I don't want to press it. I just want to touch it. Recently, many instances of objects that superficially resemble the button have appeared on the internet and elsewhere. Although they seem to share the mimetic effects of the button, reality-destroying properties have not been confirmed. Research into the possibility of using these devices as a preventative measure against people pushing the button has been postponed due to the number of researchers who started pushing buttons and refused to stop. In relation to Addendum 3, researchers unable to stop pushing the button lookalikes appear to have a chronic addiction in that they are now physically reliant on pushing the button lookalikes. The affected have been admitted to blank hospital in redacted for Foundation monitoring. Further research is recommended, but how it should be carried out will be the subject of further discussion.
I love that.
So I thought like the meta text of the author here being like, oh, look at that big juicy button. I just want to push it so badly while talking about the history of it. I just thought that was a fun little, I just really liked that. I thought it was great.
My knees got weak when they said, we put this into a cube made of tungsten carbide inside of another cube made of tungsten carbide inside of an elevator 3 kilometers down.
Suspected of being a button sympathizer is just a really funny thing to be assessed as. Just really good, just a great combination of words, Real good stuff.
I love the mental gymnastics that a scientist was doing. Listen, it might destroy a very small part of all reality as we know it, but what if we're not a part of that?
Then we get to push the button.
No, we will send the drone to apply direct pressure upon the surface of the button.
I feel like that wouldn't be the same. I think you just gotta raw dog it. You just gotta push it.
That's great. That's a good joke one. I really like that. Oh, good. I'm smiling ear to ear. That's good.
Yeah, that was a good one. All right. Well, Ray, what's the last one you got for us here?
All right. Much like last year and the year before and the year before that, I got to cap it off with a SCP-001. We're going deep. Always got to go deep for the O1s. You did 2 joke O1s, which that's a nice change of pace. We should probably keep that going on. SCP-001, the one I'm doing, is called When Day Breaks. This is a classic. Have you heard of this one?
I don't know if I have.
Okay, When Day Breaks is a classic because it is object class Apollyon. Apollyon class is end of the world, possibly end of existence of all of humanity, or possibly our dimension. It kind of depends. Keter class is end of the world, probably can't contain it. Apollyon is absolutely end of the world, cannot be contained. You might want to consider, for the Foundation, leaving this dimension. It cannot be contained because leaving the solar system might not be an option. In this case, it's not. When Day Breaks is an SCP where the sun, our star, Sol, has turned on humanity. How the SCP story goes is you are one of the survivors. You are one of the 200 million survivors left on Earth. Everything around you is dark because you are stuck in the building. You are covered from head to toe. No skin is exposed to the violent and ultraviolet rays of the sun. The sun has turned on all of us. If the sun touches you, you become sunlight. You become infected. The SCP of the sun 001 is the sun is emitting a special type of thaumaturgic signal that turns humans into goo. Not like the goo from Evangelion. I just mean they start slowly melting into a viscous type of thing. And that type of thing is still conscious of what they've turned into. You don't die. You are forever alive. And you have an urge and a need to meld with every other human being, specifically Homo sapien, that is also being gooified, or to turn other human beings into goo. If you get touched or potentially eaten by one of these human goo creatures, you are thus immediately infected, and you become a part of a blob that never dies. So the survivors of this, there's only 200 million survivors. It just happened one day. The sun decided to emit its thermatogic rays, and 6.8 billion people immediately, like that, started getting gooified because everyone.
Oh, maybe I have heard of this one before. This does sound familiar.
Yeah. It's not ultraviolet radiation that gets you. It's just any sort of light on the visual spectrum of the sun. This includes during the nighttime. If it is a full moon, the moon's light, which is just sunlight being reflected back to you, will get you infected. There is no escape from it. The only thing you could do is to survive underground and to avoid the biomass that are the human beings. But they can't be killed. They're amorphous blobs. What do? Do you blow them up? Do you burn them? How do you burn them? Do you get close to them? Well, if they so much as touch you, you're infected. So it's kind of risky getting them close at all. And also, because of the fact it was the sun and it happened out of nowhere, you can't rely on the military to help you. They're all infected. They're gone. You're by yourself. So, the story about this is, for this SCP, is what do you do? How do you live? How do you maintain contact away from sunlight? Do you stay in the building? Well, even when you're in the building, the amorphous blobs, they are seeking you. 6.8 billion non-dying life forms screaming, come into the light. Come to us. It's better here. They're not okay, by the way. In the SCP story, they're perfectly aware that they are suffering, they are burning, they want to die, they can't. But they're trying to get you, and they will get you. They break down doors. They crawl through windows. They're amorphous blobs. They rip apart cars. Eventually, they will get you. And it is all a matter of time. As a matter of fact, some of versions of this story have the Foundation say, yeah, that's cool, and they open up one of the SCPs that lets them skip dimensions, and the O5 Council just walks through that. And they say, this version of Earth is done. That's the end of that SCP. I like this one.
And
I like when day breaks.
The lesson being, it's never too early to start wearing the SPF, 75, folks.
SPF 75.
SCPF. That's what you need.
Oh, yeah, and the amorphous blob will say, constant things. They will also imitate your loved ones. Sometimes if they are loved ones, they will use their voice before they become a blob to try to lure you out of a building or something like that if they can't get to you. It's a really creepy but fun story. I like this one. I like it a lot.
That's a good one.
Because there is no avoiding it.
This reminds me of something I saw. Who was it? Was it Edgar? Let me see here. I can't remember if it was Edgar Wright or Simon Pegg who talked about it. I just saw this kind of going around the other day, but talking about why fast zombies kind of don't make sense. And I feel like this story kind of gets to that in a good way, where it's the slow zombie, it isn't about the fact that you can outrun that they're it's going to get you. It's no, but there's it's just the volume of it is something that that cannot be denied or maneuvered away from eventually.
Yeah.
Somehow, but it's it's totalizing.
Yeah.
And
I think
there's nothing you can do. And no matter what, it's it's just a matter of time. And fast zombies kind of take away from that idea, that kind of frustration that despite as competently as you can maneuver, it's not about that. It's just the volume.
Yeah.
And I think that is I think this story is a really good example of that.
I think my favorite two zombie movies, due to the concept that you brought up of the fear comes from the sheer volume of the dread versus the avoidance of them, is, and I'm going to contradict myself, so bear with me. 28 Days Later, because it does use fast zombies, but it does say, well, they're not zombies, they're just infected, but they act like zombies. And they are very fast, but it all occurs centralized on an island of the UK or somewhere in the UK. And yeah, it's called 28 Days Later. Hyper spoiler, so skip a couple seconds to avoid this. They all die in 28 days because if you are going to be running constantly to try to kill someone, your metabolic rate is going to eat up all your resources, such as, protein and living fat tissue. Mm-hmm. And thus you're going to just starve and die. That's the thing about zombies. Eventually they have to starve and die. And the other zombie movie I really, really like is, I don't like 28 Weeks Later, Shaun of the Dead. I like Shaun of the Dead because I don't feel this is a spoiler. I feel like anyone that listens to our podcast has seen Shaun of the Dead. If you haven't, go watch it. It's a great Halloween movie. At the very end, it just shows the British military kills them all. It's yeah, that's exactly what would happen. It wouldn't be a thing. It's oh no, we have to send out a specialized force that can only shoot them in the head. It's yeah, have you seen the size of some bullets people could use? They'll get them in the head, or they'll get close. It'll be fine. Love Shaun of the Dead. Speaking of Simon Pegg, absolutely love that. Also, it has one of the most brutal zombie eating scenes I think I've ever seen put to film, and specifically in Shaun of the Dead. It just comes out of nowhere, and it's at the very end of the movie. You're oh dear God! Oh, love
it's
it.
like I haven't seen it in a while, but that's a good one. I'm trying to think. I mean, I really like a horror movie and like a monster movie, but like I just don't have a lot of like zombie movies off the top of my head. I'm trying to think.
Most of them are kind of not great. Night of the Living Dead is good. Day of the Living Dead is also good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're getting like diminishing returns once you get out of the George Romero camp, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. I'm trying. Yeah. Just
I mean, Zombieland is fun because it takes the piss out of it.
I have a feel. Oh man, that. Oh, I just got hit with like a wave of like 2014 America or whatever. Boy, I have a feeling that movie is. I don't want to say aged poorly, but like I have a feeling it is not as good as I remember it being. If I had to guess.
I think it's very much of its time. It makes a lot of cultural references. For example, Bill Murray takes up a lot of screen time in that movie. For good reason at the time. Nowadays, you're like, oh, wow, Bill Murray is like in this movie for like 15 minutes. Was that necessary?
Yeah.
It's one of those.
On that note, hey, thanks for this. I thought this was a pretty solid Halloween special, Ray.
I love doing SCPs. I love doing a little bit of spooky stories. That if you are listening to this, I want you to do me a favor. Go register to vote. Go do your civic duty. I take it very seriously. You should too. You should also, if you celebrate Halloween, go out and have some fun. Me and the wife, we're getting dressed this year. We love to hand out candy to the kids. I'm going to dress as Vegeta, and the wife is dressing up as Bulma. We're going to dress our little baby as Kid Trunks. Got the little cat ear hat that he wears
that's
as a
perfect.
baby.
Look at that. Are you doing like the bad man look?
I thought about it, but you know what? The kids that are going to come to the door.
I have that shirt. I need to bust.
That's really good. That's fun. I thought about doing that because that would be fun, but I figured like this is for the kids, not for me necessarily. So they'll recognize the blue and white and gold Saiyan armor. They'll recognize Bulma. The Batman shirt, that's kind of a deep cut that only happens in like 4 episodes. I get it because it's funny, but maybe not all the kids watch the Android arc.
Right. These children, they're just skipping straight to Super. They don't appreciate it.
They don't know how bad they got
it. They gotta spend time on Snake Way just like we all had to. Come on.
They have to watch the Frieza arc four times in a row.
I watched the Snake Way arc before Kai. Is the new? It was snowing uphill both ways.
It was so many episodes. God, I forgot that. Man, that's taking me back. All right. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you all have a good Halloween. And thank you very much for listening to the podcast. You all have a good night.
Peace.